So today I'm going to look at how I used Final Cut in order to make my short film. As you can see here, we have the basic timeline. So this is all of my clips and sound. I can make it more zoomed in and look at the clips in more detail, or I can zoom out and see the whole film all together. I prefer to have it at about this zoom. As you can see here, I'm just looking at the title, and I'm going to show you the settings that I used in order to make that title. So if I zoom in here, we got controls, and then you can see what font I've used and all the different kind of settings like spacing, location, indent, pause, etc. And also then I've got bad TV on it, so that gives it the static and waviness effect, so I can choose the waviness, the roll, etc. And I've also got motion, so I can choose the scale of it, the rotation if I was going to change that, but I didn't for this particular text. And then moving on here, where you can see that I'm going to use color corrector. This is in order to change the color grading of the clip. I made it darker in some places, especially the highlights, and I also done down the saturation, and I changed the color a little bit as well. I can also drag the filter onto other clips in order to keep it all the same. And on this one, you can see I've changed the opacity in order to do the overlay, so I can have the lights over the character as she sleeps. So zooming back out now, I'm going to show you the gradual fade and build in that I have done between the two music clips. I would have used a transition maybe for this, however I wanted the two separate audios to be on different levels so I could overlap them. So in that case, I just decided to change the level. So you can see here that I've done it -2 each time. I've changed it so it was a gradual fade and it wasn't so staggered. I personally think that this went quite well, and I don't think it was too noticeable that there was a change in tracks. So down here on this level I have the diegetic music, which is still attached to the clips. For most of the clips, however, I had non-diegetic sound over the top, and I took away most of the sound. This was because I didn't feel it really worked well with the scene, and I just wanted to put music over the top. As you can see by my timeline here, I've got a lot of layers of sound, and this was because I had diegetic sound, I had non-diegetic music, I also had sound effects, so it took quite a lot of layers to be able to put them all together in a way that I wanted them to be. However, I do think I could have organised the sound a little bit better, because it is a bit messy. The scene that I'm actually looking at on the screen right now is one of the ones that I wasn't too happy with the colour grading that I used. It did look a little bit purple in some places, and that wasn't really the effect I was trying to get. However, I do think it was because of the lighting that I had in this particular scene. Now I'm going to talk about some of the additional effects that I have used in my film. As you can see here on the screen, I've got flickering, and I've also got some strobes and bars. So I'm going to look into what I've used there in order to create these effects. So if I go into my effects panels here and my filters, so I've got blink turned on, and in there I was able to change the on duration and the off duration and the opacity of the blink itself. Moving on to the next clip, I've got stripes, the filter stripes used on these clips. However, I only use stripes on alternate clips, so every other clip I had stripes turned on, and every other clip I had stripes turned off. I thought this gave quite a nice disorientated and crazy feel to the scene. Now, I've done quite a similar thing to the next scene, however, this you can see I've only overlaid a video every other little bit of the clip underneath, so that means I've got two different camera angles which are switching back and forth. The clip where the girl was running across the grass, I originally had to film this with the tripod upside down, so I had to hold the camera upside down using the tripod, which meant in post-production I had to switch it around using a rotation tool of 180 degrees so it was the right way around. So earlier I was talking about how I used the cutting tool in order to create my crossfade. However, in this scene and towards the end, I have actually used the crossfade audio transition. However, in addition to this, I did have to use the previous technique because I found that the crossfade didn't work too well with the fade in and fade out of the tracks. I wasn't too happy with how that turned out, so I manually did it, and I think that worked quite well. So at the very end here, I'm just going to talk about my use of noise and bad TV together to create a gradual effect, which was the end of the film. On each clip I had a slightly different setting for the noise and the bad TV, which made it look staggered and a bit crazy. This just led into the scrolling credits at the end of the film. And finally, at the end of the film, I literally just had a simple text typewriter effect to just promote my website and where people can see the film. So that was my video on how I use Final Cut to edit my short film. In my next video, I'll be talking about how I use Pixelmator in order to edit my ancillary tasks.